Hey everybody, Graham here. So I don't know what it is, but it seems to me that the Aftermath Foundation is determined to shoot itself in the foot at every turn. There's something that you see on the internet a lot, and it's, when people do PR things that aren't smart, and it's, the first rule of holes is when you find yourself in one, stop digging. But I don't think that the people on the board of the Aftermath Foundation really understand the extent to which they're undermining themselves. So, as you probably know, Aaron Smith Levin, our good friend A. Ron, has started up the SPTV Foundation, and their website is live. They have accepted donations. They have approved applications for aid, and they're running. They're doing their thing. They've announced their board. I looked at the website. I saw the people on the board. Some of them are people I know. There are people like Natalie Webster. There are people like your lawyer friend Zach. And then there are other people that I'd never heard of, one of whom, according to Aaron, has a lot of experience in managing nonprofits. So all of that's great. And I'm just going to kind of put that over here to the side and just point that out. But going back to the Aftermath Foundation, they now have 2 new board members. And what's interesting is that both of those new board members have gotten themselves involved with the controversy straight out of the gate. I'm not going to use any names here. I'm just not, because if you know, you know, and if you don't know, you can find out pretty easily, and I just don't want to get into it, honestly. But so you have one board member whose first act as a board member was to put up a quote-unquote interview with Mike Rinder, wherein they basically created a nice little environment where they could take all the accusations and just flatten them right out, which, is great when you have a friendly interviewer and a friendly interviewee, and you can take these questions, you can make them sound ridiculous. You can throw a question like, have you ever essayed a child, knowing full well that not a single person on God's green earth is going to say yes to that. It's very easy to sort of make allegations look ridiculous and kind of dismiss everything when you've got people on both sides of a conversation working together to make that happen. So that's the first thing that happened. Now, the second thing that happened was the second new board member, who, as I understand it, is a never in, which is a good thing. I mean, it's good that they have a never in on the board. I think that's important. But her first act as a board member was to put up a blog post slamming Aaron, basically running a dead agent pack on Aaron, and really laying into him for the criticisms that he made of another YouTuber. Now, many people have pointed out that this actually violates the very same part of the Aftermath Foundation's ethical conduct code that was used to kick Aaron off the board. And somebody mentioned this in the comments on her blog post, and she said something along the lines of, I've had this blog for 6 years. I have legal disclaimers. This is my personal opinion, and I'm not saying this as a representative of the Aftermath Foundation. But here's the problem with that. Neither was Aaron. Aaron was making his own personal opinion known. He was not speaking as a member of the Aftermath Foundation. And the Aftermath Foundation's Code of Conduct does not distinguish between personal opinions and opinions rendered on behalf of the Aftermath Foundation. It doesn't say anything about that. So if they can use that clause to kick Aaron out, they can and should use that very same clause to kick out this person, the other new board member, and Mike Rinder. They should all go. In fact, I said in my last video on the subject, and I believe it even more strongly now, that the entire board should resign and they should get an entirely new board. But what's very obvious is the fact that they're doing this. I mean, Aaron has not really gone into any more detail about this stuff, right? Aaron's been talking about the protesters and he's been talking about the SPTV Foundation. He's not really talked much about the Aftermath Foundation or any of the board members. So they're just kind of keeping after him while he's moving on and doing his own thing. And my guess is that the reason for this, well, I think there are several reasons for this. Number one is I think that a lot of it's not a super big secret that a lot of the board members of the Aftermath Foundation used to be executives in Scientology. And a lot of these executives are people who grew up in Scientology. So Scientology was their business school, right? This is where they learned how to be a manager. And coming out of Scientology and then moving into the management of a nonprofit, they're taking these Scientology management techniques with them because they don't really realize that they're Scientology management techniques. Anyway, all of this is to say that I think that a big part of the reason this is happening is because I think the Aftermath Foundation's donations have probably taken a big hit. And we already know that people have donated to the SPTV Foundation. Now, the way I see things going here, I don't see the SPTV Foundation seeing itself as being in competition with the Aftermath, but I do see the Aftermath as seeing itself in competition with the SPTV Foundation. So, it's really sad to see. It's really disturbing that the two new board members would make their first acts on the board as being focused on this particular controversy and not on how they're going to help ex-Scientologists. Well, like I said, it's sad. And I hope that these people are going to realize that they're in a hole and in accordance with the first law of SAME, stop digging. Because they just keep digging and keep digging and keep digging. And people on the internet like to say, well, he's a boomer. He doesn't really understand how the internet works or, stuff like that. And as an older person, albeit one who has been on the internet since more or less its beginning, not since its very, very beginning as DARPANET, but, I was kicking around Usenet news groups back in like 93. So take that for what it's worth. But that said, I do think people like Mike Rinder don't really understand the internet, and they don't really understand the way an idea can take hold and spread across the internet and then from the internet make its way into general culture. I mean, the internet basically is general culture now. But, these people, I assume, didn't use the internet all that much when they were in Scientology. So coming out of Scientology and getting on the internet, they probably don't really understand the social/parasocial aspect of it and the way that ideas flow across. But I mean, if you look at the various Scientology-oriented channels, there are a few that are sort of Aftermath Foundation loyalist kind of things, and then there are a whole lot of them that are just kicking the foundation as much as they possibly can, and for good reason. So, if the Aftermath Foundation's board isn't going to resign, and I have no reason to believe that they are, then at the very least what they need to do is just stop digging. So, that's where we are. I hope that people are going to chill out about this stuff because I don't think it's helping anybody. And if I were somebody trying to get out of Scientology now and I started researching and looking into this stuff, I would probably be reluctant to talk to anybody. And I know that's not what anybody involved in this wants. So take my semi-informed, never in opinion for what it's worth. But that's what I think. So I hope you all are doing great. I will talk to you in the next one. Graham out. Bye-bye.